The process server found me on a Tuesday afternoon in the break room. Security called to say someone needed my signature in the lobby. I figured it was work-related. Patent dispute, regulatory subpoena, normal biotech stuff. Signed for the envelope without looking and went back to my desk. Connecticut Superior Court. Family Division. Petition for filial support. My father was suing me for $2,400 a month. Gerald Harrison, petitioner, claims indigence and seeks monthly support from biological son Ethan Harrison. Petitioner provided substantial financial support throughout childhood, totaling approximately $370,000. He'd kept receipts. Of course he had. 4 months ago, this same man testified under oath that he had one child. My sister Rebecca. Not me. His lawyer asked how many children, and he looked straight at me in the courtroom gallery and said her name. Only hers. Now I was his son again because he needed money. I left work early and drove home through Boston traffic. The 30-minute drive gave me time to think about how we got here. 4 months back, my parents' 32-year marriage collapsed when my mother found proof Dad had been sleeping with his executive assistant for 3 years. Dad was a pharmaceutical company CEO, making comfortable 7 figures. Mom had given up her graphic design career 3 decades ago when Rebecca was born. The divorce was vicious. Dad fought everything through his lawyers. Alimony, assets, even the house. I showed up to support Mom because someone had to. Rebecca stayed neutral. That's what she called it when our father publicly humiliated our mother for years. I was sitting in the gallery during one hearing when his attorney asked a standard question about dependents. "How many children do you have, Mr. Harrison?" Dad looked directly at me. "Under oath," he said, "one. My daughter, Rebecca Harrison. 32, corporate attorney in Manhattan." Nobody questioned it. The hearing moved on. I'd been erased with a single sentence. Afterwards, I tried talking to him in the parking lot. He was getting into his Tesla, loosening his tie like he'd just finished a normal business meeting instead of denying I existed. "You chose your mother's side," he said, without looking at me. "That was your decision. Live with it." 2 weeks later, his estate attorney sent a letter. I'd been removed from his will. All beneficiaries updated. Life insurance, retirement accounts, family trust, everything redirected to Rebecca. Professional notification, 0 emotion. That was 4 months ago. Now apparently I was his son again. I called Meredith Grant from my apartment. She'd handled Mom's divorce, sharp as broken glass and absolutely ruthless in family court. Picked up on the second ring. "Can he do this?" I asked. "Sue me after testifying I wasn't his son?" Connecticut has filial responsibility laws. She sounded like she was already thinking 3 moves ahead. Rarely enforced, but technically valid. Colonial-era statutes about supporting indigent parents. Do you have transcript of that hearing where he testified? I ordered one afterwards. Wanted proof. Bring everything tomorrow. Transcript, will notification, the petition. 9 a.m. She hung up. I pulled my filing cabinet and found what I needed in 5 minutes. 238-page court transcript, highlighted yellow on page 47. Question. How many children do you have, Mr. Harrison? Answer. 1. My daughter, Rebecca Harrison. Black and white. Under oath. Also grabbed the beneficiary letter. All assets previously designated to Ethan Harrison now redirect to Rebecca Harrison, processed July 19th. Put everything in a folder by the door. Thought about calling Mom but didn't want to drag her back into this. She'd spent 4 months rebuilding after 30 years married to a man who treated her like decorative furniture. Didn't need to hear her ex-husband was now extracting money from the son he'd publicly disowned. Thought about Rebecca too, but that felt pointless. My sister had always been Dad's favorite. Her achievements got elaborate parties and expensive gifts. Mine got brief congratulations if he remembered. Her law school graduation got a $50,000 country club reception with 200 guests. My master's degree got a $200 Visa card mailed with a note saying, "Congratulations on your accomplishment." He'd always had one child. I was just insurance in case something happened to her. Next morning, I was in Meredith's office 5 minutes early. Downtown corner office, floor-to-ceiling windows, furniture worth more than my car. Framed degrees, used law books, organized desk, Everything screamed competence. She read the petition first, scanning like she'd seen 1,000 identical documents. Then the transcript, straight to page 47. Read it twice. Corner of her mouth twitched into something that wasn't quite a smile. He testified under oath you're not his son. Yes? Now he's suing because you are his son. That's the situation. She leaned back, fingers steepled. Ethan, your father just committed judicial estoppel suicide and doesn't even know it. Judicial estoppel? Legal doctrine preventing contradictory court positions. You can't tell one judge the sky is blue, then tell another it's green. She started making notes. We file motion to dismiss, submit transcript as Exhibit A, argue he's barred from claiming paternity for money after denying it under oath. Clean argument. He can't survive it. How long? 3 weeks if we file today and request expedited hearing. She checked her calendar. Filial cases move fast with indigence claims. Let's do it. One thing. She looked at me directly. He'll try settling before court. His lawyer will call, offer maybe $1,500 instead of $2,400. Frame it as reasonable compromise. You want me to negotiate or shut it down? Shut it down, even if it's low? I'm sure. She nodded. Then let's destroy him. Left her office feeling something I hadn't felt in months. Clarity, maybe. For the first time since Dad erased me in that courtroom, I knew exactly what to do. Make him answer for it. That afternoon, my phone buzzed. Text from a number I'd deleted but still recognized. We need to talk about this lawsuit. It's just business. I'm sure we can work something out. Screenshotted it and sent it to Meredith without responding. Her reply came back immediately. Perfect. Radio silence from now on. Let him sweat. 2 days later, my sister called. What are you doing? Rebecca's voice had that edge it always got when she thought I was being unreasonable. He's broke. The divorce wiped him out. Mom got the house, his savings, half his retirement. He can barely afford rent and you're dragging him to court? He testified under oath he had one child. You. Not me. He was angry during the divorce. He didn't mean it that way. He was under oath, Rebecca. Direct question, he erased me in front of 50 people. Then cut me from his will. Then sued me. At what point should I be okay with this? Silence for a few seconds. He needs help. Mom won't give him anything and I can't afford to support him. You're the only option. Then he can ask his one child for help. That's you according to his sworn testimony. Hung up. Felt bad immediately. Rebecca wasn't the enemy, just doing what she'd always done. Smoothing things over, keeping everyone happy. But I was done being smoothed over. Done being reasonable and flexible while Dad did whatever he wanted without consequences. Next day, Meredith called. Settlement offer. $1,500 a month instead of $2,400. They're calling it compromise. What did you say? See you in court. Good. You feeling okay about this? Not too late to negotiate something minimal. I'm not giving him $1. This isn't about money, Meredith. It's principle. He can't erase me, then unerase me whenever it's convenient. Understood. She paused. Judge will probably ask if you're willing to provide any support. What's your answer? According to his sworn testimony 4 months ago, he's not my father. I'm respecting his legal position. Meredith laughed, short and sharp. Perfect. Say exactly that. Week before the court date, I met Mom for coffee near her new apartment. Small cafe, mismatched furniture, decent espresso. She looked better than during the divorce. Less exhausted. She'd started wearing colors again instead of gray and black. He's really struggling, she said after we ordered. Not that I care after what he did, but you should know. Lost everything in the settlement. House, liquid assets, half his retirement. Company forced him out when the affair went public. Maybe 2 years of expenses left if he's careful. Why tell me this? Because I know him. She stirred her coffee without looking up. He thought Rebecca would support him. She was always the favorite, the one he invested in. When she refused, he panicked. You're not his first choice, Ethan. You're the backup plan. That's supposed to make me feel better? No. She met my eyes. I'm telling you so you understand this isn't about you. Not reconciliation, not even really about money. You're just the only option left and he's desperate. Don't mistake desperation for remorse. I won't. We talked about other things after that. Her new job, painting classes, my lab work. Normal conversation that didn't require emotional armor. That night I pulled out the transcript one more time. Read page 47 again. Question. How many children do you have, Mr. Harrison? Answer. 1. My daughter Rebecca Harrison. Clean. Unambiguous. Sworn testimony. Meredith had rehearsed what to expect. Judge reads petition, hears arguments, reviews our motion to dismiss. If everything went right, over and under an hour. Quick, clean, decisive. Practiced my answer one more time. Your Honor, according to his sworn testimony 4 months ago, I'm not his son. I'm simply respecting his legal position. Court was 3 weeks away. I spent them preparing to watch him lose everything, just like he'd done to me. Week before the trial, Dad's lawyer called Meredith with a new offer. $800 a month instead of $2,400. Plus a written statement acknowledging me as his son. Public recognition in exchange for reduced payment. Meredith put him on speaker so I could hear the pitch. This is more than fair, the lawyer said. Your client avoids expensive litigation. Mr. Harrison gets minimal support. Everyone moves on. It's a win-win. I looked at Meredith. Shook my head. My client declines, she said. See you in court. The lawyer started to argue, but she hung up. You didn't even think about it, she said. Not curious about the acknowledgement part? He had 29 years to acknowledge me. I'm not interested in buying it now. 2 days later, Dad was waiting by my car when I left work. He was leaning against a black Lexus parked next to mine, arms crossed like he'd been there a while. Looked older than I remembered. Thinner. The expensive suit hung loose on him in a way that suggested recent weight loss. Can we talk? His voice was careful, measured. Man to man? First time seeing him face to face since that courtroom testimony 4 months back. I stopped a few feet away. Didn't say anything. I made a mistake during the divorce. Dad pushed off the car, took a step closer. I was hurt. Your mother had an affair, destroyed our marriage, and you supported her through all of it. That felt like betrayal. She didn't have an affair. You did. The details don't matter now. What matters is I spoke emotionally in that hearing. I was angry, and I said things I didn't mean legally. You were under oath. I know, but you looked at me sitting in that courtroom and told the judge you had one child. Rebecca. You erased me in front of 50 people. I was trying to make a point about loyalty. I started walking to my car. Wait. He followed. Ethan, wait. I raised you for 29 years. Fed you, clothed you, paid for private school and college. That has to count for something. I stopped. Turned around. You're right. You did all that. Pause. For your son. Who you testified was Rebecca. Send her the bill. Got in my car and drove away. Watched him in the rearview mirror, standing in the parking lot looking smaller than I'd ever seen him. Next evening, Rebecca showed up at my apartment unannounced. Knocked on the door holding a photo album I recognized from our childhood home. She looked tired, like she hadn't been sleeping well. Can I come in? Stepped aside and let her in. She sat on my couch without being invited and opened the album on the coffee table. He was there for you. She started flipping pages. Look. Your 8th birthday. He's right there. Christmas morning when you were 12. Your high school graduation. I sat down and looked at the photos she was pointing to. Every single one had Rebecca centered in the frame. Dad's arm around her shoulders or hand on her back. I was always off to the side or in the background, present but peripheral. He was there for you, Rebecca. I just happened to be in the room. That's not fair. I pulled out my phone and opened my email. Found the PDF of the court transcript and handed her my phone. Page 47. She scrolled to it. Started reading. Her face went pale as she processed the words. He really said this, she whispered. Under oath. In front of 50 people. Including me. She set the phone down carefully like it might break. I didn't know he'd said it exactly like this. She closed the album. I knew he was angry at you for supporting Mom, but I thought he just didn't mention you. I didn't realize he actively denied you existed. Now you know. She stood up, picked up the album, walked to the door without another word. Turned back once like she might say something. Changed her mind. Left. Morning of the trial, I put on my best Navy suit. Grabbed the folder with the transcript and drove to the courthouse. No nervousness, no second thoughts. Just ready. The courtroom was smaller than I expected. Wood-paneled walls, fluorescent lighting, rows of gallery seats mostly empty. Judge Morrison sat at the bench reviewing papers. Older man, gray hair, severe expression that suggested he'd seen every variety of family dysfunction and had zero patience left. Dad was already there in a wheelchair, playing the sympathy card. He looked frail, diminished. Home health aide stood behind him looking bored, but his eyes were sharp when they landed on me. Still calculating. His lawyer stood first. Younger guy, expensive suit, practice sincerity. Your Honor, this is a straightforward case. The plaintiff is a 72-year-old man facing indigence after significant financial losses. He provided substantial support to his son for over 2 decades. The defendant now earns $95,000 annually and can easily afford the requested $2,400 per month. Connecticut statute clearly allows for filial support in these circumstances. We're simply asking the court to enforce the law. He gestured to Dad in the wheelchair like he was presenting evidence. My father's devoted his life to his children. Now he needs help and is being abandoned by the son he raised. That's unconscionable. Meredith stood. Didn't use notes. Your Honor, one exhibit resolves this entire case. She walked to the bench and handed up the court transcript. 4 months ago, the plaintiff testified under oath in his divorce proceeding that he has 1 child. He was asked directly by his attorney to state how many children he has. His answer was 1. My daughter, Rebecca Harrison. He named only his daughter. Complete silence in the courtroom. The plaintiff now claims my client is his son and therefore owes him support. But you cannot claim fatherhood for financial benefit after explicitly denying it under oath in a prior proceeding. That's judicial estoppel. The plaintiff made his choice 4 months ago. He doesn't get to reverse it now because the money ran out. Judge Morrison picked up the transcript. Read it slowly. The silence stretched out while everyone waited. He looked up at Dad. Mr. Harrison, you made this statement under oath? Dad shifted in his wheelchair. I was emotional during the divorce. The question was taken out of context. The judge cut him off. Out of context? His voice dropped into a dangerous register. Your attorney asked how many children you have. That's unambiguous. You answered 1 and named your daughter. There's no context that changes the meaning of that testimony. I was speaking emotionally, not legally. You were under oath in a court of law, Mr. Harrison. Everything you said was legal. You can't now claim you meant something different because it's convenient. Dad opened his mouth to argue, but the judge held up his hand. That's enough. Title moment. The courtroom went completely still. Judge Morrison set down the transcript and looked directly at Dad with an expression of pure contempt. You cannot claim fatherhood for financial gain after denying paternity under oath. The petition is dismissed with prejudice. Additionally, you're ordered to pay defendants legal fees. $16,800. Gavel came down like a gunshot. Furthermore, the judge continued, leaning forward, I'm referring this matter to the State Bar to review whether your attorney conducted adequate due diligence before filing this frivolous petition. Mr. Harrison, get out of my courtroom. Took maybe 30 seconds from that's enough to complete dismissal. Dad's lawyer looked like he'd been hit with a brick. Started gathering papers with shaking hands while Dad sat frozen in the wheelchair, staring at the judge like he couldn't process what had just happened. I stood and walked toward the exit. Dad's voice behind me, rising in pitch. Ethan, please, we can fix this. Meredith stepped between us. No contact, Mr. Harrison. Dad's lawyer grabbed the wheelchair handles and pulled him toward the other exit. Dad was still talking, half pleading, half demanding, but I couldn't make out the words anymore. In the hallway, I saw Rebecca standing near the elevator. She'd been in the courtroom. I hadn't known she was there. She caught my eye and nodded once. Didn't smile, didn't speak, just acknowledged what had happened. Then stepped into the elevator and disappeared. That night I was home on my couch when my phone started buzzing. Blocked number. Let it go to voicemail. The message was Dad's voice, shaking with rage or grief or both. You've destroyed me, Ethan. I hope you're happy. Everything I built, everyone I knew, my reputation, all of it gone because you couldn't show basic gratitude for everything I did for you. You're a selfish, ungrateful, deleted it halfway through. Sat there in the quiet of my apartment for a while. Thought about what the judge had said. About Dad's face when the gavel came down. About Rebecca standing in that hallway saying nothing. I wasn't happy. Not the way you'd celebrate winning something. But I felt lighter than I had in months. Like I'd been carrying weight I didn't notice until it was gone. I wasn't happy, but I was free. And that was enough. News traveled fast in Dad's social circle. By the next day, Mom called to tell me the fallout had already started. His golf club revoked his membership. 30 years at that country club, and they cut him loose within 24 hours of the trial. Word got around about what he'd done, testifying I wasn't his son, then suing me for money. People in those circles don't forgive that kind of thing. His business partners started distancing themselves too. Calls went unreturned. Lunch invitations dried up. Nobody wanted to be associated with the guy who committed perjury to steal from his own kid. Mom sounded almost satisfied when she told me. Not happy exactly, but not sorry either. Week after the trial, the court order for legal fees hit. $16,800 payable to my attorney within 30 days. Dad didn't have liquid cash anymore. Everything accessible had gone to Mom in the divorce settlement. He had to liquidate his last investment account to cover it. Meredith called when the payment cleared. Money's in, she said. Want me to send you the invoice breakdown? Keep it. Consider it a bonus. She laughed. I like the way you think. Watching him lose that money felt different than I expected. Not triumphant. Just appropriate. He'd stolen millions from me through manipulation and lies. $16,800 was a fraction of that, but it was something. A receipt for his choices. 10 days after the trial, Mom called again with an update. Your father lost his apartment. Couldn't make rent after paying your legal fees. He moved to a cheaper place in a worse neighborhood. Studio efficiency, month-to-month lease. How's his health? Declining. She paused. The stress is getting to him. He looks 10 years older than he did during the divorce. I didn't ask for more details. Didn't want them. First text arrived that same afternoon. Ethan, I made terrible mistakes. Can we talk? Coffee? Read it twice. Put the phone down. Didn't respond. 3 days later, an email. Longer this time, more desperate. I was wrong. I was proud and stupid, and I hurt you in ways I'm only now beginning to understand. You're my son. I should never have denied that. Not in court, not anywhere. I'm asking for a chance to apologize properly. Please. Read it. Archived it. Didn't respond. Week after that, security called me at work. Your father's in the lobby asking to see you. Tell him I'm not available. He says it's urgent. Tell him I'm not available. Thank you. Hung up and walked to my office window. Looked down at the building entrance. 5 minutes later, Dad walked out, shoulders hunched, moving slow like every step hurt. Got into an old Honda that definitely wasn't the Tesla he used to drive. Watched him pull away. Felt nothing. No guilt, no satisfaction. Just boundaries holding firm. 2 weeks later, a handwritten letter arrived at my apartment. 3 pages, shaky penmanship like he'd written it multiple times before getting it right. I don't expect forgiveness, Ethan. I know what I did was unforgivable. But I need you to know I'm sorry. Truly sorry. Not because I lost everything, but because I lost you. You deserved better than what I gave you. I see that now. Read it once. Filed it in my cabinet with the other documents. Didn't respond. Month after the trial, Rebecca texted asking to meet for coffee. Met her at the same cafe where I'd talked with Mom before. She looked different. Less polished, more genuine. Like she'd been doing some thinking. I owe you an apology. She didn't wait for small talk. I was blind for 29 years. He played favorites and I benefited from it. I saw the inequality but told myself it wasn't that bad. I should have said something when he testified. I should have stood up. I didn't. You were his golden child. You didn't see what I lived because you didn't have to. I know that now. She stirred her coffee. I'm not asking for forgiveness or trying to fix this. I just wanted you to know I see it. Finally. We talked for another 20 minutes. Careful conversation, testing boundaries. Not close, probably never would be. But cordial. That was something. Week later, Mom called with a request I'd been expecting. Will you consider talking to him? Not to reconcile, just to let him apologize in person. He's struggling, and I think it would help him find some peace. He had 4 months after the divorce to apologize. I kept my voice even. Before the lawsuit, before any of this escalated, he chose to sue me instead. That was his decision. I know, but I'm done, Mom. I appreciate you trying to help him, but I'm done. She didn't push. Understood in a way Rebecca couldn't quite yet. 2 months after the trial, I got promoted at work. Senior analyst position with a salary bump to $105,000. My boss said I'd earned it through consistent performance and dedication. Signed the paperwork that afternoon. Started dating someone around the same time. Sarah, a lab tech from the genomics department. Smart, funny, didn't care about family drama or old money. We got coffee after work one day and it turned into dinner. Dinner turned into regular plans. Life was moving forward. Dad's texts still came every week or so, different variations of the same message. I'm sorry, can we talk? Please give me a chance. All ignored. 3 months after the trial, I opened my phone and looked at his contact. 29 years of history reduced to a name in a list. Thought about all the times I'd wanted him to call, to acknowledge me, to see me the way he saw Rebecca. All the birthdays and graduations and achievements where I'd hoped for something more than polite distance. Deleted the contact, blocked the number, felt lighter immediately. Sarah asked me that night if I was okay. We were having dinner at her place, something simple she'd cooked. Normal couple things. I'm good, I said. Just closing a chapter. She squeezed my hand. Didn't ask for details. Didn't need to. I'd given him 29 years. He'd given me a courtroom transcript saying I wasn't his son. We were even. 6 months after the trial, life had settled into something resembling normal. Sarah and I were serious. Not living together yet, but heading that direction. Kept toothbrushes at each other's places, had keys, talked about future plans without it feeling scary. She'd met Mom. That went well. Mom liked her immediately, said she had good energy, whatever that meant. Got promoted again at work. Department head position, $115,000 a year. My boss said I'd earned it through leadership during a difficult project phase. Felt good to be recognized for actual work instead of family connections I'd never had. Rebecca texted occasionally. Usually just checking in, sharing small updates. We'd gotten coffee twice since that first conversation. Still rebuilding, still careful. But it was progress. Then Rebecca called on a Tuesday evening while I was making dinner with Sarah. Dad's in the hospital. Heart attack. She sounded shaken. He's stable, but they're running tests. Do you want to visit? Felt something twist in my chest. Not guilt. Just sadness, maybe. The kind you feel when something inevitable is happening and you can't stop it even if you wanted to. No. But keep me updated. Okay, she paused. I understand. Hung up and went back to chopping vegetables. Sarah looked at me with a question in her eyes but didn't push. Told her what happened while we finished cooking. She listened, squeezed my shoulder, let me process. Dad survived the heart attack but came out of it significantly weakened. Rebecca called 3 days later with the full update. He needed assisted living. Couldn't manage stairs anymore, needed help with daily tasks. The good facilities cost $4,000 a month minimum. He couldn't afford that. State-funded care home was his only option. I thanked her for letting me know and hung up. Week later, an email arrived. Sent from a hospital bed based on the timestamp. Ethan, I'm dying. Doctors say maybe 2 years if I'm lucky. I don't want to pass away with this between us. I know I have no right to ask anything from you after what I did, but I'm asking anyway. Please. Just one conversation. Let me apologize in person. Let me try to explain. I need you to know how sorry I am before it's too late. Read it 3 times. Set my phone down. Stared at the wall for a while. Sarah found me like that an hour later. What's wrong? Showed her the email. Do you want to see him? She asked. Part of me does. Part of me doesn't care. I leaned back against the couch. I don't know what I want. What do you need? Thought about that for a long time. What did I need? Closure? An apology in person instead of through email? To see him diminished and struggling? I need to not feel obligated anymore. That's what I need. To know I can walk away and be okay with it. Sarah nodded slowly. Then maybe the answer is already there. That night I wrote an email response. Took me an hour to get the words right. I received your message. I accept your apology. But I don't want a relationship. You made your choice under oath when you testified I wasn't your son. I'm respecting that choice. I hope you find peace in whatever time you have left. Goodbye. Read it 5 times before hitting send. When I did, felt something release in my chest. Lighter. Like I'd been holding tension I didn't know was there. A year after the trial, Rebecca called again. Dad's in hospice. The doctors say weeks, maybe days. This is your last chance to say goodbye if you want it. Long pause while I thought about it. Really thought about it. We said goodbye in that courtroom. When he told the judge he had 1 child. That was our goodbye. Rebecca was quiet for a few seconds. I understand. Take care of yourself, Ethan. You too. She hung up gently. No pressure, no judgment. Just acceptance. 3 weeks later, Rebecca texted at 6 in the morning. He passed this morning. Peaceful, in his sleep. Funeral Friday at 2. I understand if you don't come. Sat with that news for a while. Waited to feel something definitive. Grief, relief, anger, satisfaction. Instead, just felt a strange mix of everything and nothing. Told Sarah over breakfast. She asked if I wanted to go to the funeral. No. But I'll send flowers. Anonymous. We spent that Friday hiking instead. Drove an hour north to a trail Sarah liked. Spent the afternoon walking through woods that were just starting to show fall colors. Talked about it while we walked. I mourned him years ago. Every time he chose Rebecca over me, every graduation he missed, every achievement he didn't acknowledge. The courtroom just made it official. Sarah took my hand. You doing okay? Yeah, I am. And I was. 6 months after Dad no longer with us, I hosted dinner at my apartment. Sarah helped me cook. Pasta, salad, good wine. Invited Mom, Rebecca, and a couple of close friends from work. Small gathering, people who mattered. Rebecca came with her girlfriend, someone she'd been seeing for a few months. Mom brought her new partner, a quiet man who made her laugh. My friends showed up with dessert and stories from the lab. We ate and talked and laughed. Normal conversation about work and hobbies and weekend plans. Nobody mentioned Dad. Nobody needed to. I looked around the table at some point during dessert. These people who'd chosen to be here, chosen to be part of my life. Not because of obligation or blood or expectation, just because they wanted to. Sarah caught my eye and smiled. You good? Very good. Later that night, after everyone left, I sat on my couch with Sarah and thought about everything that had happened. The lawsuit, the trial, the year of boundaries and rebuilding. I'd lost a father who'd never really seen me, who'd looked past me for 29 years and only noticed when he needed something. That loss had hurt once. Maybe it still did in small ways I didn't examine too closely. But I'd found people who chose me every day. Sarah, who saw me completely and stayed. Mom, who'd rebuilt her own life and made space for mine. Rebecca, who'd done the hard work of acknowledging her privilege and trying to be better. Friends who valued me for who I was, not who I was supposed to be. The courtroom had ended one chapter. Dad testifying I wasn't his son. The judge dismissing his lawsuit. All of it had drawn a line under 29 years of being invisible. But it had let me write a new chapter too. One where I wasn't waiting for recognition that would never come. Where I built my own family from people who actually wanted me in their lives. One where I wasn't invisible. Sarah leaned against me, half asleep. Happy? Yeah, I am. And that was worth everything.